Your subconscious is the most powerful thing in your experience. You can think of your subconscious as the hard drive or the programs in your computer. A computer runs by these programs. It is powered by this hard drive. So whatever it is that is in there is what creates the experience that the computer allows you to have. So you could think of your own life experience in that way. Whatever you hold in your subconscious, whatever beliefs, whatever concentrated thoughts that you have, which is a belief, whatever expectations you have in there, constructs your reality. Therefore, it's very important to learn how the subconscious works and how we can reprogram it to shift our experience to something that we would like to experience. So in this video, we will explore the subconscious, how to shift your beliefs, and how to shift your experience, how to reprogram that subconscious. So first and foremost, the subconscious retains everything. Every single experience, everything you've seen, everything you've heard, it collects it. Think of it as a memory bank, but a memory bank that records every single thing, every single vibration that you've ever had, that you've ever experienced, every sense, smell, sight that you've seen, it's locked in there. So what happens is that many times we allow the predominant things that we activate in that subconscious are unempowered belief systems, such as some of I am not worthy, I am not abundant, my life is not fun, it is boring, things such as that. So when your dominant expectation in your subconscious is that, you will have that reality. An example of how powerful your subconscious is the way you walk and the way you open doors. Pay attention to the way you walk. Really be aware when you are walking. You'll notice that you have the same rhythm. You'll also notice that you open a door the same way each time. And you open these things and you take these steps unconsciously, you could say. Since the subconscious already has that program, you do not have to deliberately think about it for it to happen. It is already an expectation in you, and it is very easy to do it. You already have circuits in your brain that make it very easy for you to have that experience. Think of it as a freeway that is open and that there is no traffic. It is just straight, smooth. So once you have the thought, it just goes through that freeway, boom, without you even thinking about it. And next thing you know, you're at that destination, which is that action that you take. Now, the first step to reprogram your subconscious is to become aware. Become aware right now. How are you feeling? What's around you? Take a moment. Enter the present moment. When you do this, you start to become present in your life and you start to notice these subconscious patterns that you have. Something that I dealt with earlier in my life was my addiction to certain things. The first one I could think about is eating. Sometimes I'd know that something wasn't aligned with what I wanted to do, what I wanted to consume, but I'd still eat it, and I'd eat it unconsciously, and it was a habit. Fast food was this habit for me. So when I decided to break this habit, when I got the awareness that it did not serve me, I started putting in the action. I started using my willpower to break it. The first step was becoming aware that it did not serve me. So if you're in the stage right now where you are aware that certain habits do not serve you, this is a very great opportunity. Do not beat yourself up. The next logical step is there. This video might tell you what the next logical step is. Now, by no means does this mean that it's going to be super easy, But when you have the awareness that it does not serve you, it becomes much more smooth, and you can say easier, okay? You can say easier to let it go. So what I would do when I was working with this belief system, this subconscious pattern of eating chips, of eating fast food, I would become very aware. So when the opportunity came, when I had the impulse to eat it, I would become very aware. I'd say, okay, this desire is there. Why is it there? Am I feeling good right now? And the more I would become aware, the more I would recognize that the reason I was doing it was because I wasn't feeling good. I was trying to escape. So I had that awareness. Now the subconscious is very powerful. Even though you do have the awareness, say if you've been eating fast food for 15 years of your life, the circuit, the freeway that's most easy to take is to just grab that slice of pizza or grab those chips, and your arm will just go by itself. It's kind of crazy when you notice it. But even though your arm's still going, when you have that awareness and you use that willpower, when you become very, very aware, you stop yourself. Instead of before you going all the way and grabbing that pizza and starting to eat it, you might be to the point where you're halfway and you stop and you're aware of it and you let it go. Now, something else that helped me with that was, say if there was pizza or chips and someone else in the house that would bring them, or that they presented themselves that way. If I found chips at the house, I would hide them. So it's good sometimes not going through the whole process, but letting go by bits at a time. That being said, nothing is exactly completely bad nor good, and only you know that. And you have a guidance system in you, which are your emotions. So if your gut feeling is that something is good for you, at that moment, it probably is good for you. But here's the thing, you have to find that sweet spot. You have to be in an aligned state. I like to say an aligned state. Now, what does an aligned state mean? An aligned state means that you are feeling good. It doesn't necessarily mean that you are feeling blissed out or crazy good, but you are peaceful. You are feeling good with how you are. You are feeling even neutral. So you're not feeling bad, but you are feeling good feelings. Again, that doesn't mean that you have to be feeling the best. But when you are at that point, your mind is clear and the impulses that arise are empowered. And if you feel your emotions sinking down when you think of a certain thing, a certain action, then it's probably not going to improve your experience. It's not empowering to you. So you shouldn't do it. That's your guidance system. So your subconscious is powerful, like I said. With awareness, you could break that cycle. The first thing I thought of was just breaking the ice. With awareness, it's like that. When you take a hit at the ice, it kind of snaps and it causes different ripples in different directions. So what does this mean? When you have awareness, it breaks through the addiction, it breaks through the past program, and the little pathways that the ice when it breaks creates, or you could even think of a glass when it crumbles or breaks, how it makes a bunch of lines. Those are all different pathways that open up to you. You have broken the same cycle, and now the quantum field of infinite possibilities is open to you because you are aware. So you could deliberately choose what experiences you want to have. Instead of you repeating the same cycles that your subconscious and your state of being has kept you in, now you have the possibility of newness in your life, of new pathways, of new directions. And all that energy that would have been used for that past program can now shift into that new program. So that's also another really good thing that I was going to mention. If you want to reprogram your subconscious, the best way, or one of the ways that works very greatly, is starting to do new things. So instead of maybe eating fast food, shift that energy to look at YouTube videos of how to eat healthy, how to eat healthier. Research that. Also use that energy to create healthy dishes in your house if it is that you cook. Or if you don't cook, like I said, you could just do research and shift that energy to the other direction. So when you're shifting these things, you allow your energy to go somewhere else. The energy doesn't disappear. It's just shifted to another direction. Now, I know some things may be very overwhelming, some subconscious programs, and you may even attempt to change, and you may have been going very good for a certain amount of days. Say if you said I wasn't going to eat fast food or drink for a certain amount of days, you may be good, and then day 10 hits, and all of a sudden it's overwhelming, and you just grab the drink or you just eat that fast food. Recognize and be aware that it happened, but don't beat yourself up about it more than once. Be aware that you may have faltered, you may have set an agreement with yourself and not gone through with it, but don't beat yourself up more than once about it. And even that first time, don't even beat yourself up about it. Just be aware that it might have not been the best decision, but be aware that every day is a new day, and even that experience, it's pushing you to grow. It's letting you have greater awareness and a greater desire to overcome this, and it makes it fun too. Life is all about remembering who we are and expanding. And what is expansion? Expansion is having a breakthrough. That's why movies of breakthrough or superhero movies, when they overcome an obstacle, feel very good. Inherently, in our nature, this is the archetype. It is the archetype of expanding, of having circumstances be challenging, yet overcoming them. Remembering who we are and letting ourselves expand, and allowing the cooperative components to be there and pushing through whatever it is that's going on and taking the next logical step to expand, to become a greater version of ourselves, to become a version that's already existent in the quantum field, you could say. Like Joe Dispenza says, the quantum field. The quantum field is the field that contains all possibilities. Every place, everything, every person, everywhere. It contains everything. So since we are extensions of all that is, the universe, or God, you could say, inherent in us are the qualities of all that is, or God, or Source, which contains everything. So there is infinite possibilities for you, but you have to connect to it. Your subconscious is powerful. The more awareness you have, the more aware you become, the more you will start shifting your reality. The more things will start becoming lighter for you, especially when you start gaining momentum. At first, it might be overwhelming, thinking of even shifting our subconscious, thinking of, say, 30 years even, of going through the same routine or the same difficulties and the same program kind of playing itself out a lot. Maybe if it's relationships for you, having the same downfall in relationships happen, having a partner that does the same things that bother you. Now, these are subconscious beliefs. What you have in your subconscious, what's your expectation, you will receive. And a big point is understanding that the law of attraction doesn't distinguish between good or bad. It just gives you the essence of your predominant thoughts and your predominant focus. So if you're focused on a relationship going bad, even though the universe knows that you don't enjoy that, it's going to give you it because that is the nature of the law of attraction. Since you are focused on it, it will come to you. But if you learn how to let go of those thoughts, or put the spotlight of your focus in an empowered relationship and feeling genuine love, or in your focus predominantly being in the relationships that do work very well for you right now, then that will become your reality. You will attract that. Now, something very important to know is that, going back to the same concept that the subconscious holds everything, you may feel like you are in a very empowered state already, and then a certain thought or a certain experience happens that reawakens something deep in you. Maybe a childhood memory of trauma or something like that. Now, here's the thing. Even though it might feel very overwhelming at the time, and trust me, I know this, I've dealt with this with my crippling anxiety, know that your higher self, that the universe, that source, will never give you something that it knows you cannot overcome. So if it's resurfacing right now, it's because you're at a state that's more full of courage. You're at an energetic state, at a level of consciousness that is finally able to break through this. You are at the climax of your movie, you could say. You are that superhero that has finally gained the tools, through contrast, through fighting other villains, through having hardships in its life. You have finally upgraded yourself to the level where, even though it's the most vicious villain, the most vicious thought loop, the most traumatic experience, if it's resurfacing, you have the tools to be able to start that process of overcoming it. Everything in life is about expanding and learning. That's why if you're going through a hardship right now, an experience or a crisis, you could say, that feels overwhelming, have faith. Understand that right now is a very, very, very important time in your life. Your higher self knows that you are ready to evolve. You are at that state where you are becoming that superhero, where you are gaining that new ability. And that villain is serving you just as much as the good people in your life are. Because if it wasn't for that villain, if it wasn't for that crisis, the desire to become stronger, to evolve, wouldn't be there. So recontextualizing your perception of a crisis is very powerful. Changing your perception about anything actually is very powerful. You can be going to work every day, and according to your perception, you could enjoy it or you could hate it. Your perception is what creates your state of being, your predominant perceptions. So if you think of the world in a negative way, you will get that reality. Now, I'll just end this video by giving you guys some tips of things that I do to reprogram my subconscious. The first thing is I meditate. So my meditations are 20 minutes a day. That's what I usually do. And I just breathe. Just as I'm sitting right now, I close my eyes and I breathe in fully all the way, and I breathe out. And I either pay attention to my breaths, or I pay attention to the sound of a fan, or to the music that I might be playing, which is usually a meditative frequency. And when I do that, thoughts arise, but I let them go. I become the observer. I don't identify with everything that's popping up in my head, but I allow it to be there like a cloud. Like if I'm looking at a cloud, here's the thought, and I use my awareness to see it. I don't judge it out. I see it objectively. I see it as it is, and then I let it go. Now, sometimes it may be harder to meditate. I remember my first meditations were very difficult because a lot of things were surfacing, a lot of emotions, a lot of thoughts that were negative were surfacing. And at that time, I was still identifying with them. But when you become the observer, you stop identifying with them, and they lose their energetic hold over you. Then you could simply release them. So meditation is very powerful to let go of things that aren't serving you, to clear your mind, because there will hit a point in those 20 minutes where you will come to a stillness. And when you come to a stillness, you naturally arise to your natural set point, which is peace, which is positive energy. And you will feel good, and it will help. So meditation, like I said, helps with letting go, and it helps you arise to your natural state. And when you arise to your natural state, you are at a point of power because you could take action. The second thing that I do is I listen to affirmations before I sleep and when I wake up. Now, why do I do it during these times? During these times is when the subconscious is most active. Your alpha waves are on during that time. Now, what are alpha waves? Alpha waves are the waves, the brain waves, that are emitted right before slumber or right after slumber. And it's the gateway to the subconscious. So there's the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. Alpha is in between. So when you are in that state, you could reprogram your mind because you're in that sweet spot where you could use your willpower and your awareness to put certain beliefs in there. I go on YouTube, I look up affirmations, and you'll find a lot of good affirmations. Use what resonates with you. I also have affirmation videos that you could check out in my channel, and you can listen to those, and you'll see that it will shift your life experience. I remember I first started listening to these my sophomore year of college. At the time, I was working at a country club as a banquet server, and I was listening to some to reprogram my mind, to rewire my subconscious to receive abundance. And after a very short time of listening to them, I'd see the tips that were coming my way, and I'd know that it was having an effect in my experience. And since I was getting that confirmation in my reality, I gained momentum and more would keep coming. And I'd know that it would come through that way and through my focus and my action, and it would empower me. I would start empowering myself in a new way, and it felt good. So affirmations are very good too. And even after your meditation, say of 20 minutes, when you're in that state of stillness, usually your alpha waves are going. And now I recommend meditating in a dim room with not much light in it, because this also activates those waves. Like I said, right before you sleep, that's when those waves start to turn on. So when there's darkness around you, not much light, those waves naturally start to awaken. That's why this may be esoteric, but the pyramids, the king's chamber is dark. There's no light in there. They say that the king's chamber is a center of tuning, that way back when they used it, they would do energetic tuning and accelerations of evolution there. This may be a little esoteric, but you could do your own research on it. This video is on the subconscious. Another quick way to reprogram your subconscious just goes back to the same principle that I was saying, is using your awareness. Your awareness, you could consider a knife. You could cut through things with it. So if it is that you are about to do something, become aware. You'll be at a point of power. If it's a subconscious pattern or action that you are about to take, with the awareness, you'll be able to cut it out of your experience and not go through with it. So there you guys have it. This is a little intro to the subconscious. If you are watching this video, it has found you because you are vibrating at this frequency. So answers are in here. Your frequency brought you here for a reason. Use whatever resonates with you and shift your experience. I believe in each and every one of you guys, and I thank you for watching this video. Goodbye.